Yeah, hello.
What up, Adam?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
All right, so you're the founder of Star, a live streaming ICO platform, which I guess you describe as Twitch meets Kickstarter and NASDAQ.
Exactly.
They all come together and have a beautiful, beautiful baby. I want to know what your bull case for ICM is.
Oh wow, great question. So I mean, I've been a founder for a long time, I guess in proportion to my life, about a third of it. And I just believe that like the public should have access to interesting early stage investment opportunities. This isn't a new story, like per se. This is quite an old story, and I think one of the main bull cases for crypto in general. And I think this new wave of ICM, it's a meeting of multiple factors where you have like, I guess, more cultural understanding and appreciation for crypto compared to like past years. And technologically, protocols like Meteora have made it much easier for anyone to spin up their own launch or launchpad in our case. So I just think like as the tools to create permissionless capital formation become more democratized, there will naturally be more people drawn to that idea of like, as we call it, like raising in public versus going to, like institutional capital providers behind closed doors. And I think also like founders will just think it's way cooler to actually go and launch a token and raise in public and have basically become a public persona. So that's my bull case.
Well, what problems do you think kind of pairing these launches with live streams solve today? Or do you just think it's kind of an interesting entertainment medium?
So our origin story didn't really start in live streaming. We launched a token on Pump Fund back in February, really as like an experiment without much planning, and we saw how broken the launch experience was. Like, long story short, it was anything but fun. And then we had the idea to build Star, and at the time it was more anchored in like a permissionless vetting system that just used AI to check a founder's X profile and GitHub before they could fundraise on the platform, and also solving the like bonding curve issue of like snipers being able to buy up a lot of supply, teams not really being able to securely raise capital. So we wanted to do an ICO model from the start. Like that was always the idea. And then we dog fooded our own fundraise on the platform and launched first. We set out to raise a minimum of 250K over 7 days with a max cap of 500 for 20% of supply. And the first day, like we had like a banger marketing video go out. We had amplification from Meteora, a lot of attention, but like in the first 24 hours, we raised like 10 grand. So it was like a big dud. And then from there, the rest of the week, like I was on podcasts like this. I was speaking to people. We got featured in Blockworks, like all this exposure. But there was like, I don't think people could really connect to who we were as founders because we were like kind of a new team in crypto. And so on the fifth day, and mind you, like we were in like full founder mode, like 3 guys in a room, monitors everywhere. I was sleeping in the same room. It was like, just like I guess the classic startup grind. And if you go back on our old clips, like you can get a visual of this. And I was like, you know what, this is so cool, and like I want to share this experience with people somehow, and like find a different way to connect with them that goes beyond like just flashy marketing videos and yeah, I guess the more like traditional way of doing marketing. And I'd seen PMF or Die a couple months before that, and I was like, oh, that idea is really cool. They're like live streaming their path to. They did die, but that's like part of the game.
Did they die? I was actually wondering.
Yeah, I think they hated each other and they left, didn't they?
Yeah. They had a founder breakup.
That's a perfect outcome.
Yeah, we're in touch with Patty though to bring him onto Star and do something similar with like a crypto-based fundraise. So like hopefully we'll see that come to life soon. But yeah, so long story short, like we turned on a live stream on the 5th day, and at that point we were like, we'd raised like 20 grand. Like it was very slow. And we were 230 away from our target, or else the investors would get refunded. So it was like do or die, and like little personal lore. Like I was dead broke at the time too. So I was like, okay, this has to work, or I'm gonna call my mom and be like, yo, I gotta
coming home, baby.
I gotta figure out what's next, And so we turned on live stream, and I was having calls like this. I was pitching founders, I was pitching investors, I was pitching shady Chinese cabal groups. It was like the whole gamut of like crypto-based fundraising. And what we saw is like slowly as I was talking to people and as like things were happening in the room, like I was talking with my CTO about how we're going to do the launch. My designer was there. We're cooking up marketing videos and assets, and we just saw the fundraise like amount like quite quickly bump up. And then basically in the last 10 hours of the raise, we ended up raising like 450 grand. Like most of our target was like in the very last last day. And so that's kind of where the live streaming came from. Like it was never really part of the project's idea, but we sort of stumbled on it, and then we were like, oh shit, we discovered something really interesting here, and we think that this is the right time.
So beyond live
Yeah,
streaming, what are sort of the other changes or the specifics of the launch model? How are you initiating the market? Is this sort of like a format that is consistent across all of the launches that happen on Star?
yeah. So we built something called the range auction, which basically allows founders to set a minimum. If they don't meet the minimum, investors get refunded automatically. There's a max cap, and then they decide what percentage of supply gets allocated to the sale. So your valuation basically becomes a moving target between the min and the max. And that's like our own custom program, which then graduates to just a standard AMM. We take 2% on the fundraise, which is traditionally low compared to other launch pads like Metaplex, for example. And we make our money on trading fees. And founders, of course, get trading fees as well, 1.2%. So there's a strong incentive for them to have a token.
So you've had a few successful raises, but it seems like most are kind of struggling so far. I'm curious what needs to change or what lessons you've learned from the teams you've worked with so far.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so we had our own successful raise. Yeah, make me talk about my failures. No, it's perfect.
We want to learn, man. I think you're on the
Yeah.
edges, so yeah.
No, I appreciate it. So we had our successful raise. We also have been hosting these like live on-chain Shark Tank events where we invite like different like titans in the industry to basically be a panel that's giving feedback to startups as they're fundraising live. The first episode was really successful. You know, we had Meteora, we had Soju on, we had Xerox Designer, Mercy from ICM.Run. We had a couple like really cool people up there, and we had a team raise 350K in an hour. And this was our first event. It got around 50,000 views. Like it was really successful. So we're like, okay, we're gonna run it back this time with a more crypto native cohort of startups. And we did that on Tuesday. And like everything, the playbook, like it all went well. We had great panelists. We had like fucking Merritt was on the panel. It was awesome. We had like a really solid lineup of teams, crypto native companies, some of them backed and funded by Coliseum, others who have been building for a couple of years, like doing cool shit. And in the moment that the teams were supposed to go live with their fundraises, we had a really minute technical issue that prevented the fundraisers from going live. Like, I don't know how devy you guys are, but it was an environment variable that wasn't like triple, quadruple checked. So something really frustrating.
Yeah.
And you know, it still keeps me up. But we lost a lot of momentum there in that first event, which sucked because we can only get the fundraisers live after the event finished. And so what we're doing is we're going to run it back. And this Sunday, for the final 4 hours of the team's fundraises, we're bringing together all the voices in the ecosystem, panelists from past event, this event, traders, like anyone that believes in ICM to come on a panel and basically do like a streamathon towards the very end of it. So yeah, we're pushing hard to get these teams funded. Like that's my duty and obligation. So that's still the goal.
Best laid plans ruined by an environment variable. That's fun.
Dude.
So when I sort of look at this space generally, I think it feels like launch pads, syndicate platforms, fundraising platforms they're kind of only as good as the next or as their last great deal, or at least the competitive set here is like your ability to go attract really great opportunities is probably going to be the defining variable around like massive success or really having to grind out these raises. And I think the type of thing that, if you look at just crowdfunding generally, is probably what suffers from the idea I think most people have with something like a Republic or some of these other equity crowdfunding places, is that these are just deals that can't get done by VCs, or VCs aren't interested in. And so these are the maybe the best of the rest, but
Mm.
do I want to invest in the highest B rated startup versus the A plus one? So I'm curious, I guess maybe the question more is like, where is the lane that you see your opportunity to be the best at? And are you looking at that from a category perspective or a type of company perspective? How do you attract the most exceptional opportunities to this platform?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. And I think that's definitely the truth that like you're only as good as your last launch. You're only as good as you are right now. Where we're really trying to dominate in the like short to midterm is in crypto native early stage startups. And like current cohort is like exactly that persona. There's one founder in particular I'm really fond of. His name's Billy Banger. He's building a on-chain, basically a game where you can earn rewards and earn tokens for curating tweets. He's basically building the curator economy. And he's raised from Coliseum. He's raised from a few notable angels. He has a working product, and he just has an incredible charisma. And like I'm just really bullish on him as a founder, and he's raised VC by traditional terms, right? He's raised from Coliseum, but ideologically, he's just really aligned with the idea of giving the public like a chance to own a part of his company. And I think that's exactly the like type of founder that we're looking for, and that we feel we can offer the best experience to, with not just like a customizable fundraising mechanism that like allows them to secure capital and get a token live, but also like a unique way to tell their story like live on stream, which you know the public would be more appreciative for than most VCs, right?
I mean, we're I think the whole intent behind this show and why we're here 5 days a week is that building conviction in anything early is just a very hard thing to do on the timeline or with words or even with polished marketing videos. And I think even you know the conversation we're having here, I think, is the exact type of conversation that builds conviction in somebody like yourself and the platform that you're building, because you can't get that sense of mission, authenticity, um, like realness that I think comes through in a live environment like this. If we ask you a tough question, you can't go back and wordsmith that perfectly with ChatGPT and your comms people. You got to be like right on it. And so I'm a big believer in this. I also think one of the most compelling arguments for ICM is this idea of markets coming into the screens and the applications and the entertainment venues that we're in already. And I see this kind of being a dynamic that works well for you guys as well. Um, so yeah, I'm down with that. I think I am it's such an interesting space because there's bets being made on token types, there's bets being made on launch mechanisms, there's bets being made on the future of regulation, and then ultimately of demand in which market to serve here. And I think you can somehow triangulate all those probably into a couple categories around like maybe the 2 or 3 trends to go watch. And so it is where I'm spending most of my time trying to make sense of this. And I think the best way to make sense of it is just sort of by tailing you guys, man. You're like, I got a vision and I'm just going to go act on it and take my lumps. But, when it works, it's going to be a rocket ship.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. Thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, I can share this openly. I can't say who, but I literally just before this had a call with another player in the ecosystem that's also heavily focused on ICM, and they basically were like, "Hey, we want you to come join us. We'll buy out your token holders." And um, I frankly don't want to roll over and die and like just give up on this very specific vision that we have and all the work that we've put in. So like I think we're still early days. Like we still have really yet to find true product market fit. We're trying to operate more as an accelerator now than per se like a permissionless launch platform. Because I don't think we can figure this out for hundreds of startups if we can't figure it out for a handful, But we're really trying to like build a comprehensive set of features for the early stage founder, and part of that also in maybe a nod to what MetaDAO is doing, which I think is incredibly fascinating, is like ways for holders to be protected from downside. I think that's the problem that they've set out to solve is actually like if you think about hair on fire problems, it's like actually the most the most prevalent hair on fire problem for investors. And I think our next phase is going to really look at how we can solve that for the really early stage teams while still giving them like control over their company. Like I think there's like a middle ground there that needs to be met.
Yeah, I think this all gets easier when you have your hero example. So focusing in on that and figuring out how to have that success case is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, we got to leave it there, man. So I guess Sunday, streamathon.
What time?
11 a.m. to 3 p.m. EST. And yeah, if you guys want to hop on and do a little 15-minute bit, I can interview you and we can flip the roles. Yeah, if you want to join, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, shoot me a message. I've been locked in the last couple of weekends, so Sunday's been a good lock-in day for me. So if I'm around, I'm very down. Cool. Yeah, and then I think also folks should go check out what you're doing with the what do you call it? The index stake?
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Yeah, that's a feature I didn't cover. So basically we're dropping tomorrow a way for stakers of Star to get upside in all of the tokens that are fundraising on the platform. So you basically stake Star, and then for all the teams that raise successfully, 2% of their supply is allocated to Star stakers to basically tie Star holders to the success.
This is what I love. It's like we need to go figure out the launch mechanism, and then what is the right value accrual mechanism for this tokenized entity. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
All right, man. We got to leave it there. Wish you the best of luck. Maybe we'll see you on Sunday. Make sure you go give Startup Fun. That's Startup Fun is the URL. Follow on Twitter, but it's on the platform. I think you guys are live streaming, so you want to go check that out. Good luck, man. Go.
Cool, guys. Thanks for having me.
Dial for dollars, baby.
Peace,
Let's
man.
go.
Hey, later on.
Cheers.